own personal opinion, you know.
Yeah. Okay. We're about to go live, my friend. And here we go. No, it's still generating its links. Yay. Working. Awesome. So normally I have
personal opinion, you know.
Yeah. Okay. We're about to go live, my friend. Here we go. No, it's still generating its links. Now I need to, yay. All right. Okay, here we go. Good morning, Dr. Marilyn. How are you today? It's evening in the US.
Yes, it is. It's 7:00 on Monday night, and I know it's 9:00 in the morning on Tuesday morning for you.
It is indeed. Now, Dr. Marilyn and I have been friends for a little while, and we've had some wonderful conversations. And so we thought that we'd play around a little bit with live streaming and go live to YouTube today. Dr. Marilyn, I'd like the audience to know a little bit about you. So you're Dr. Marilyn, and you've had a long, illustrious career in the natural medicine arena. Is that correct?
Yes. I've been in that for about years, long time.
Yeah. Do you still practice, or are you semi-retired, retired now?
I'm semi-retired, but I don't have an office. I closed my office almost 7 years ago to be a grandma. So
Yeah.
I have not reopened my office.
That's awesome. To be a grandma is pretty special, isn't it?
It is. I have 7 grandchildren, so I try to spend ample time with them when I can. So, and people have asked me to open up a practice again, but I've written 2 books. I do my own radio show. I have a podcast, and I'm just kind of busy. And I'm getting ready to write a new book. But don't ask me what it is because I haven't really started. So.
Oh, no. I was going to ask you all about it. So first and foremost, with your radio show and podcast, tell me about the radio show, where it airs, and what you talk about.
My radio show is everything I do is called Healthy Living with Marilyn. It is an international internet radio show out of St. Louis, Missouri. And it's also out of Nashville, Tennessee area and New York. And I've been doing it about 1.5 years, and I've not really missed a week at all. I'm the #1 radio show on TOKOVO radio, and I have almost 400,000 global listeners around the world. So it's pretty cool. It really is.
It is cool.
I started podcasting about 7 months ago. And I have somebody put my podcast out. He does all the details about that and get them out to certain things. And they are on my website, healthylivingwithmarilyn.com. And I do 2 20-minute podcasts with a guest, and they are consecutive, 1 week and then the next week. And I'm just really glad that I can get the word out, because my goal is to send out positive energy to the world and motivate people and let people know that, yes, they can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. In talking about the world at the moment, and you and I have talked about this before, it's interesting times, isn't it, with, what's happening via the global pandemic. Add to that what's happening in Afghanistan. There's lots of people struggling, isn't there, Dr. Marilyn?
People have been struggling for over 1.5 years. They have been. People don't have jobs. They don't have places to live. It's so sad. It is so very sad.
Yeah.
And I don't know. You know, I have my own views on it,
Yes.
and shy of saying something that might infuriate somebody, I'd just rather say, you know,
Yeah.
we live in a negative world. And my goal
Yes.
is to just promote positive, be positive, you know,
Positivity.
have the I can
Hmm.
do it attitude, because you can do it.
Yes.
Anybody is
Yes.
capable of anything that they want to do. You know, I had this one saying that I love: if you want something that you've never had, you're going to have to
Yeah.
do something that you've never done, ever.
Never done.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
You
Absolutely.
got to get out of your
Dr.
comfort zone.
Mer- yeah. Yeah. From my perspective too, I feel I'm an empath. So for me, I actually have to protect myself from social media, from the news, and I find myself going weeks and weeks without looking at news, and the only reason that I jump on and have a quick look is just to keep some sort of idea of what's happening across the world. Because for me, watching what was happening in Kabul, as an empath, I could feel that energy, and it was heart-wrenching and horrible. And so I have to remove myself, and it's not that I don't care, it's that I care too much, and I know the impact of that energy on my life. So I have to go back and do those self-care things that enable me to keep going. So in talking about self-care, and again, we've talked about this before, what are some of the things that you do, Marilyn, that help you in this negative world? I know that your radio shows are just full of positivity and love and light and energy, but for you as Dr. Marilyn, what do you do that keeps you full of energy and love and light?
I make a date with myself every day. Sometimes I take a
Yeah.
nap.
Yes.
Sometimes I will meditate. Sometimes I will journal.
Yeah.
Sometimes I will spend time with some of my grandchildren. But I
Yeah.
make a date with myself, and I just do different things. Sometimes I'll just do yoga.
Yes.
It just depends sometimes I cook. I've been doing a lot of cooking recently. I think it's because, yeah, I
Oh.
think it's because my youngest daughter does a lot
Mm-hmm.
of cooking from scratch at home, and she's motivated me to like make homemade hummus, and I've made potato salad
Oh.
and coleslaw and just different things that I normally don't
Yes.
make, but I've been interested in making
Mhm.
them. And I attribute that to being down with her, watching her children so she can get things done. She has 3 children,
Yes.
and I go down there
Mhm.
to help her out, but I always see she's cooking, she's cutting up food, she's doing something. It's like, man, I really should do that, because that calms me down too. Being in the kitchen, and I'm
Yeah.
not one that really likes to stay in the kitchen and cook. I fix meals because we have to eat, but
Yes.
generally I don't spend hours like I have been in the kitchen happily making things by scratch. I mean, I'm not talking
Yeah.
about, I made black bean brownies. Oh, they were awesome. With
Oh,
yeah, with
wow.
chocolate chips, and they were more chocolatey than anything. My husband wound up eating the majority of them, but you know, they were just really, really good, really good. And I mean, I love making things like that, you know, and the brownies
Yeah.
were nutritious, and they didn't have any
Yes.
eggs in them, no flour. You know, I mean, they were
Yeah.
really, really good. So I've been doing stuff like that, and I've turned
Mhm.
off social media. Now I'm only on LinkedIn, but
Yeah.
sometimes, to be honest
Yes.
with you, I get overwhelmed, and it's like time to
Yes.
get off the train and go do something. That's what I do.
We talked about that. We had a conversation earlier in the year about whether to stay on Facebook, and you told me then that you deleted your Facebook accounts. And I go back to that conversation a number of times, because I actually think that Facebook is just such a negative space. There's a few feeds that are positive, and I just find myself like, eek, I need to get off this platform. And then you have others like in marketing land that go, oh, you've got to have a presence on Facebook. I'm tending more to do what you've done and thinking, man, I think I need to get off this. It's just not my place. LinkedIn as a platform is generally much more positive. You don't tend to see the negativity, and on LinkedIn, it just is a much more professional platform, isn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, I was talking to somebody earlier today, and she said she was talking to somebody that she knew on LinkedIn, and they were getting all this negative stuff that, you know, were saying. And I said, well, it might be what they are attracting, because what you put out, you know, the late Dr. Wayne Dyer says, what you think about expands. So if you're putting out negativity, that's what you're going to get back. If you're putting out, you know, I'm in a group where people are just berating everybody and bullying everybody, you're going to get that back. So, and that's what she was talking about. And I said, well, it seems to me that's what that person, whoever it is attracting. And what you attract, you get back. If you're going to attract, I'm going to have great business, you're going to have great business partners. If you get up in the morning and say, I'm going to have a crappy day, what are you going to have? A crappy day.
A crappy day.
That's just the way it is. When I get up in the morning, I'm just so glad I could get up on this side of the sod. You know, truly. You know?
I'm glad you are too. The world out there seems to be very negative, and in talking to girlfriends and you, I know that there really is a lot of people and space that is just not where it should be. And I wonder too, I very much feel that we're going into a new age, and I feel that there's lots of energy shifting across the planet, and it feels like the earth and the energy of the earth is in a bit of a flux, a state of change and move, which I think is a good thing. Do you think it's a good thing too? Yeah.
If everything can move in a positive way, you know, the world right now is in a turmoil. Let's be honest.
Yes, absolutely agree with you.
People are making up rules and doing this, and they say this, and then they say, no, you got to do it this way. And it's like, you need to decide
mixed messages.
You know, too many mixed messages. Nobody knows what's going on. There's so much upheaval in the world. The anger that people have demonstrated is absolutely unreal. I've heard of people, you know, being angry in the airports, and well, geez, if you don't want to fly, just don't go to the airport. Find a different way to get where you want to go. You know, but there's been a lot of anger, and there's been a lot of mistrust, and there's been a lot of people that have just not been able to handle this at all. You know, I live in the now. My thing is, I'm talking to you right now, Toni. I live in the now. Nothing else matters. And that's what helps me get through the day, because I don't watch the news. My husband used to work in the news, so I would say to him, what's new in the news? You know, he keeps me abreast of what's going on. You know, he's my weatherman. He's my news guy. And I depend on him because, to be honest with you, we all have the same 24 hours. What are you doing with yours? Are you watching the news? You know, are you getting depressed over the news? The news is nothing but depression. It's, you know, no news. When they say no news is good news, they're not kidding. You know, so I say, don't watch the news, you know, go watch a comedy or get out a jigsaw puzzle. I do them with the kids too, you know, and find other things to do. Sometimes I have those coloring books, you know, those adult coloring books. Sometimes I'll get them out. And
they're great.
It's a great way to just get your mind off of everything.
Yes. I found an electronic version of those adult coloring books, and it's an app on my phone. And when I'm feeling anxious, I'll sit and color in for a while, because it just, sometimes you need like a circuit breaker, something to take you out of that space and get you back into a positive space. And again, I've had lots and lots of conversations with people, particularly over the last 2 weeks, and they're really struggling. And so I like to be there and try and be helpful and offer positive advice and try and help them in some way. But the consequence of that for me is that I need to step away and go into my cave almost and rejuvenate so that I can go back out and do what I need to do. Because unlike you, Marilyn, I think that there needs to be people who speak about positive things, who talk about wonderful energy and see the love and light within the world, because it is there.
Oh,
It
yeah.
just seems to be a little, it seems to be people aren't looking for it, or they're not tapping into it, or something is just not right because people are being unnecessarily nasty and evil to each other. And no, stop that. Just stop that. Start smiling at each other. Start thanking people that you interact with, and that starts that whole positive energy ripple effect across the world, doesn't it?
Yeah. And, the app is great for the coloring, but I like to turn my phone off. I like to turn off
Yes.
all my stuff and get my crayons or my colored pencils out and just like to color, and just, that's when I have to get off the internet totally. And I have been using
Yes.
my laptop much more recently than I've been using my phone, to check on my emails. And I've stopped checking stuff like that on my phone because
Yeah.
it's on my
It
hand.
becomes,
I don't want
yeah.
to, I'd rather have it on my lap than in my hand. And our
Yeah.
phones, they're part of our appendage. They're part of our, and we've become so dependent on it. I mean, you leave the house without your phone, what do you feel? You feel naked. Oh gosh, I
I
gotta go
know.
get my phone. It's ridiculous.
No.
We've become so
And
dependent on all this
electronics.
electronic technology. We've become
Mm,
way too dependent on it. People say,
yeah.
they'll say, well, what do you do? And you'll say, you'll tell them what you do and say, do you have a website? And if you don't have a
Yes,
website, it's like, well, why don't you have a website? They ask, I have a website,
I
and if
know.
people look at it, they do, and if they don't, okay.
Yeah.
It's, to me, it's like a website. Okay. I'm not big on websites, to be honest with you. I have one
Mm,
because it's the
you
necessary
do.
thing, but I
Yes,
really, I don't look at my website every day. I'm sorry. I don't. I check it every so
I
often.
don't either.
It's like, okay, these
Usually
people,
when someone says,
these people who get in
I
touch with
can't download that.
yeah, the people who get in touch with me on LinkedIn, they say, "Oh, I can help you with your website," all this. And to be honest with you, I
Mm,
sent back. I have a team that helps me with that. I depend on
yeah.
them. That's why I pay them the big bucks.
Yeah.
And
So they can do that.
so they can do that. It's try to use my time as wisely as I can, and certainly not looking at
Yeah.
mainstream media. I don't look at that. I've noticed
Mm,
that in stores, and particularly the health food stores that I go to, more people are wearing masks again. I don't
yeah.
wear a mask. I'll tell everybody I don't wear a mask. And I have come to the conclusion that a lot of these people who are wearing masks in stores are looking at too much news. They're drinking the Kool-Aid. I hate to bring it up, but they're
Yeah.
drinking the Kool-Aid. And they'll say, me, I'm drinking. Yes, you are. If you're wearing a mask in a store when you don't have to, you're drinking the Kool-Aid. I like to
Yeah.
breathe. They took that
Yeah.
away from us for a while. You're not allowed to
Yeah.
breathe. It's like, really? I'm breathing. So I have noticed that, and I found that I've come to the conclusion, and intuitively speaking, I came to the conclusion that people are watching too much news, way too much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Got to get
Yeah.
off.
And I guess it's a little bit different in the US than it is in Australia, depending on which state you live in at the moment. So, for instance, down in New South Wales, they've got a really strong Delta outbreak. So they are wearing masks. Queensland, where I live, I think our mask wearing ends in a week or so. It's just for us that, you know, talking about those mixed messages, each state in Australia seems to have different messages or different rules around who does what. And it's, yes, if you watch the news, it can be incredibly confronting, and the messages are so mixed that it's hard to figure it out. Personally, I wear a mask simply because I know my own health, and the medication that I take that controls my rheumatoid arthritis renders me a little immunocompromised, so I don't actually want to catch anything. So that's my personal choice about, and I haven't had colds or flus or anything for years and years and years. So and that's my own personal thing. And also I'm a nurse, and so I'm a perioperative nurse, an operating room nurse. So for me, we used to have to wear masks 8-10 hours a day. So for me, it's not a big thing, versus someone who's never had to do that. I can understand that whole, you know, I want to breathe, I don't want to wear a mask. I understand that. But for
Yeah.
me, as a perioperative nurse, we were used to wearing it. It was like a second skin, so it's kind of no big thing for us. But for people, I know some of my friends have lung problems, and for them wearing a mask is incredibly challenging. So I guess, you know, it's about doing what's right for you and your body, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Now I take a lot of supplements, and
Yes, so
um,
do I.
I take a lot of supplements, and I do that for my own protection.
Yes, agreed.
And I feel confident
Yeah,
going into a store without a mask, you know. I look at
yes,
it this way,
yes,
it's what it is. And people can decide what they want to do, you know.
yes,
So,
for themselves and their own body and their own particular
right.
stuff. Yeah. Dr. Marilyn, we had set a time for 20 minutes, and it's been wonderful chatting to you live on air. We're going to finish our live stream now, and Dr. Marilyn and I are hopefully going to chat again in a little while, but that's our lot for this week. I'm going to finish our live stream now, and we will be back again at another stage. Of course, you can tune in to Radio Toni TV across any of my channels, Binge Networks across the USA.